Hey, this is Mike. Thank you so much for choosing this video. Tonight we're checking out a 2021 Lincoln Aviator all-wheel drive hybrid at night. So this video focuses on the interior and exterior lighting of the vehicle. Check my channel for the full overview and test drive video. So this has a proximity key, and as you approach the vehicle when it's locked, at a certain point it'll sense the key and start turning on exterior lights as like a greeting light, I guess. So you can see they're not super duper bright, but they do illuminate around the vehicle. One of the lights is this puddle light with the Lincoln badging here, the emblem, illuminated on the ground, illuminated handles, interior lights are turned on, and also tail lights. The vehicle is on now, and you do have the ability to go completely dark and turn off all the exterior lights using the headlight switch to the off position. When I turn on the parking lights, these LED daytime running lights are now illuminated, and they're not super bright as far as mistaking them as headlights. So they're visible to other people, but as far as you mistaking them for headlights, I don't think it's going to happen. They do look really nice and sharp, the LEDs. There's also an amber side marker here in the front. Red side marker here on the bottom, here in the back. Also, the tail light wraps around the side as well to give you to be seen better from the sides. And you can see the tail light. It's a nice soft glow of a red light that goes all the way across the back of the vehicle. Looking really nice. Camera makes it look a little orangey, but it's a nice deep red. The tag lights are also illuminated. The turn signal here in the front, and it is an amber LED strip, and it's quite a ways below the headlight housing, so it's completely separated. It's a long LED strip, so it's easy to get noticed. It's visible from the front and a little bit there on the side as well. There's also an amber turn signal indicator here on the side mirror. It's visible from the front, the side, and the back. And then here's the turn signal indicator, LED, all LED, here in the back. It's amber in color. It's a little bit separated there from the tail light, and it's nice and bright. It seems brighter than the one in the front. And it's visible from the back and the side as well. Here's the headlight switch, and you can see it goes, there's off, parking lights, and then there's automatic, and then there's the headlights. When I turn on the headlights without going to automatic, there's a light that's not turning on, and it's kind of like a side light. So when I put it down to automatic, you can see here, I'll show you what it looks like without it on. When I have it headlights on manually, there's a part right under here that's not illuminated. This is what it looks like now. And now I go to the automatic part, and this part right here is now illuminated there at the bottom. Haven't turned the fog lights on yet. So it looks like that particular light is just right here, kind of closer to the vehicle here on the sides, is what it looks like. But it has the emblem illuminated, which is looking really cool. And these are a projector headlight system. So there's low and high beams in a focused projector beam. And this one down here is a multi-reflector there for the side light. The fog lights are also little projectors. There's a multiple 4 projectors, so that way it gets aiming them in different directions. And they're very low on the vehicle, which is great. They're very bright, and so you can see, so this is low beams. So as I duck down, you'll see the lights. There's a certain point, there's a cutoff in which they start to shine on the camera. And as I get lower, down here is where you'll see the fog lights kick in. And it's probably like 1 foot off the ground. So the fog lights are intended to shine under the fog, because there's the fog layer usually has a space underneath it. And if you hit the fog directly with bright light, it just basically bounces back and blinds you. So you can't really it reduces actually your visibility if you have too much light shining on the white fog. So the fog lights are intended to be very low, so this is a great position for them to be in. So I'm going to show you what it looks like going down the road, but right here in the parking lot, you can see the cutoff there. There's high beams, and then there's low beams. There's high beams, and you can see the beams actually refocus and change their angle in order to get that further distance and brighter, higher position. It does have automatic high beams as well, which seem to work pretty good. So here's the cargo area. There's a single light here under the hatch, and it's kind of like, it's a fairly bright LED, and it's kind of like an over-the-shoulder light, but it's right there in the very center. So it's easily obstructed with your body. As you stand here, you can kind of cover it up, all right? Now there's one on the right which counteracts that. So this is a nice bright LED to the right side, and there's some backlit buttons below it for folding down the seats. And so even though there's a dark brown interior, you can see pretty good in here. You have that light to the right, and you have this one. So now if you were to have objects in the cargo space, you can see how this light gets obstructed very easily, and it casts a big shadow to the left. Now this light is supposed to help out with that, and it does do a good job, but of course you can obstruct it with your body as well. So to improve this, also you can actually see and hear pretty decent as well when you lift this up. Of course, the obstruction with shadows and all that stuff factors in, and also there's spaces there on the right and left which is somewhat obscured. But I think the improvement that could be made would be if you were to have a light just like this one on the left side, have a separate light in this compartment, and then have 2 lights under this. Instead of just having one in the middle, have one on each side. So that way it's truly over your shoulder, shining down. So that way it's less easy to obstruct when you're standing there. And then it would be pretty much a perfect illuminated cargo area. But as it is, it's pretty darn good. I would say it's adequate, but it could be improved. Like most things can be improved, and this is no exception. There's also some backlit buttons here to lower the lift gate. Here's the inside of the back door, and you can see it. This ambient light right here. This light is, I have it set to green, but you can see it's red right now because the door is open. On the other side, where the door is closed, it's actually green. So when the door is not shut all the way, or the door is open, it turns to red to let you know the door is ajar, or not completely closed, or it's just open. And also there's red down here as well in this compartment. This go back to green once you shut the door. There's backlit buttons here and here for the door lock controls, the power window controls. You also have a backlit little emblem here for the radio, which is pretty neat, but there's no puddle light, which the interior lights seem to kind of shine on the ground, which is pretty interesting. So that helps out. There's the third row, and there's illumination directly there in the center, aiming in both directions. And you can see the seats. The floorboard is illuminated quite well, and the sides. So that's pretty adequate there in the back. The second row, it has lights on either side of the big sunroof, kind of illuminating the area. There's also lights that are the color lights under the seats shining. They're not super bright, but they do give you some illumination there on the floorboard. There's illumination in the cup holder, and you can see it's green as well. And the center area is nicely lit pretty good by these LEDs. And there's a little screen back here where you can control quite a few things: the climate control, audio, air quality, different things like that. It's pretty interesting. You can open and close the shade here, and that's backlit illuminated. Cup holders. And in here is also a light for this compartment. Now there is a USB port in here that is not illuminated, but it does have the light in the compartment, but the actual port itself is not illuminated. There's buttons here on the side that are illuminated, so you can, it's like a keyless entry, and also you can lock the doors here as well. It's a little touchpad. Here's the inside of the driver's door, and you notice there's still no puddle light, which is kind of interesting. It has that approach light on the outside, but not one on the inside. But there is some light coming in from the inside, so maybe that's the intention, kind of help you with seeing what you're stepping in. But it would be nice if there was a puddle light here. And of course this is red because the door is open. Same thing with down here in the pocket, and the same thing with the back door as far as the backlit illuminated buttons. Then you have one here. This is all backlit as well. Nice Lincoln badging here in the threshold. The sill plate's illuminated. There's ambient light there in the floorboard. Also this compartment here. And these are all green because I set them green. You can change them to different colors. We saw the headlight switch here. There's the dimmer switch, headlight switch, fog lights are controlled here. I have the door open so you can see what the interior lights look like here on the front when you're sitting in the driver's seat. Alright, so let's go ahead and shut the door. And you'll notice it's red now. When I shut the door, it turns green. And you'll notice some of these interior lights will flicker a little bit. That's because of the camera. I can't get that to go away. I've tried all the different settings. I can't get it to completely go away, but it's in the camera. It has nothing to do. You don't see it in real life is basically what I'm saying. Okay, so you see the steering wheel has backlit buttons here. And they actually change depending on what you press. So if I push that, it changes to something different. And then down here, we have to turn on the cruise control, and then these buttons will illuminate, which is pretty neat. Even on the paddle shifters, there's illumination for the plus and minus. There's the gauge cluster, or basically a screen. And I'm going to do the adjustments here. Adjust it up and down. And it's actually adjusting a lot of different things when I go up, adjust it up and down. Alright. There's the start button, the screen, and there's some lights here. And you'll notice there's some light coming from up here, and that's right here. These little ambient lights here are kind of like they give a nice soft moonlight, and these are a little bit brighter than average ones. That vehicles that have this are a little not quite as bright, but this is a little bit brighter, and it's really nice. When this feature is done well, it really works good, and I think they did a good job. They have 2 of them, and they're bright enough to illuminate this area pretty good. And you can see there's backlit buttons that appear and everything. There's also, you know, interior lights you can turn on and all that stuff. All right, so while we're looking at this area, let's open up this compartment. So you can see there's a green light in there. Open up this compartment. There's the cup holders, and they have the green lights in there. And what I like about cup holders with the light there on the bottom is when you take a bottle of water or something, it illuminates the water in it, and it looks pretty neat. Now, there is a compartment here, just a small one right here, that's not illuminated. Go ahead and turn on the interior light so you can see what I'm talking about. And it's basically kind of like a stand for your cell phone, but there's no illumination. If you were to put something in there at nighttime, you can't really see it. Alright, so we have some backlit buttons here. This compartment, when I open it up, there is a light in it. So you can see in there pretty good. Now, of course, this is black carpet in here, and even so, you can actually see in there pretty decent. Now, glove compartment does have a light in it, which is it shouldn't be a luxury to have a glove compartment light, but it seems like a lot of expensive vehicles don't have that. But this one does. Now, the HomeLink garage door opener controls are not backlit. They're right in here. Some vehicles have that lit up. And it has lights here in the visor already, so they have power to the visor. They could have illuminated these. Now, when I press it, it has a little light that turns on. But as far as them actually being lit, they're not. So here, there's the heads-up display. You can see what it looks like there, hopefully. There's a lot of information on it. And it's almost, when you look at it when you're driving, it's almost as wide as the gauge cluster here, because it's kind of like a lot of stuff going on there. Camera system. The camera system, the thing about it is that it is, when I first used it, I noticed it was a little bit dark. Some systems are blown out. They're very bright. But you can see the clarity is so nice, and it shows you the lights on the ground. So let's go ahead and change those lights. You can see when I change the lighting situation here, you can see them on the ground, and even in the shadows, I mean, you can see a little bit. You can see that line, you know, in that dark shadow. It is very dark right there. So go ahead and start turning on interior lights and exterior lights. So you can see around the vehicle pretty good. So even though it's not like super bright like some other vehicles, the clarity of the screen and the camera and everything makes it to where the visibility is good, really good. Especially during the day, but at nighttime it's still good. Alright, so let's go here and let's go to ambient light. And let's go ahead and change the ambient light. So you can see there's different colors here. And so green is what I have set now. Let's go ahead and change it to purple. Blue. Red. It's like a teal looking color. Yellow. And then white. White looks pretty good, but might as well have a color. But yeah, having these colors, these ambient light adjustments are nice. So it doesn't matter what color you have. Once you open the door will turn red. See? Now, if you have it red, and then we open the door, it stays red. So if that's the only thing about that, is the color change only changes when it's not red. If it's already red, then no difference. So you're not going to be alerted if the door's open in that way. You can see the headlights, possibly you might be able to see they're active bending. So they kind of subtly move left and right depending on how you have the steering wheel. Now it only does it when you're driving forward. If you're sitting still, it doesn't move. But it's very subtle. It's not like an annoying movement. And it's not, I wouldn't say it's not super necessary, because now what is interesting is that there's a little notch in the headlights in which it tries to avoid, it's like it stopped now, but it tries to avoid blinding oncoming traffic. So that notch does move. So that might be part of the reason there, as far as, you know, it moving depending on the oncoming traffic, to kind of help them from being blinded and then still having your visibility everywhere else. So on the oncoming traffic lane, you can see there's a spot where it's kind of dipped down. Hopefully you can see that. So that way, when you're going over bumps and stuff like that, it gives you the high visibility everywhere else except for that one spot. So that way you don't accidentally, you know, it's less likely that it's going to blind oncoming traffic. And it seems like it's perfectly positioned. So the automatic high beams just kicked in, so now the high beams are on. And yeah, these are nice. It seems to illuminate the road pretty much evenly. You can see a deer off in the ditch over there on the right. But yeah, I can see those trees are illuminated. And the road seems to be evenly illuminated until you get out to maybe 200 or 300 feet or so. Then it starts to fade a little bit, which is pretty normal. But man, that looks great. Let's go to low beams just so we can see the difference there. There's low beams. And there's high beams. The high beams are fantastic. And it's a pretty dark night. It's a lot of cloud cover, a little bit of rain, and there's a little bit of mist in the air. Make sure that the fog lights, the fog lights are on when I put on low beams, and then there's high beams. Of course, the fog lights turn off on the high beams.